Hello, let us explain the inner workings of a spell-oriented Berserker. The Ravenous Passion is a new, unique helmet that shifts rage bonuses towards spells instead of attacks and grants you rage when you spend enough mana. The first connotation is definitely the Berserker, as the rage is the core identity of this ascendancy. With this combination, you will increase your cast speed by 90% and your spell damage by 180%. With such high cast speed, sustaining the mana costs can be problematic, especially for a Marauder class, and you still need to spend mana in order to generate rage. The best solution is to use spell totems instead. The Flame Totem of IRE is a very good candidate for that. It deals more damage and has better projectile speed than the original version, but it can fire only one projectile. Thanks to your very fast cast speed, it doesn't hinder the clear speed, and with its long range, you don't need to relocate your totems as often. Your movement speed will be rather slow, but it is not a problem at all. With your amazing cast speed, you can simply use the Frost Blink of Wintry Blast, together with the regular version to very quickly traverse maps and dodge incoming threats. It also ensures your rage won't ever fall off, as you will be constantly spending mana. The Holy Flame Totem converts half of its physical damage to fire, so you should convert the remaining part by allocating the Avatar of Fire Keystone. You can speed up projectiles further by improving the quality of the gem, but the baseline value is sufficient enough. The Berserk is not very famous for its tankiness. You will have a high block chance with the Glancing Blows Keystone, a bit of physical damage reduction from Enduring Cry, and evade some of the attacks, but your main defense is proper positioning and avoiding taking damage at all. The Totem playstyle inherently slows your clear speed due to placement speed, but you will travel around very quickly. It also depends on the map layout. Your damage against bosses is great, but you have to maintain your totems as they die very quickly. The build is rather cheap to assemble. The only requirement here is Ravenous Passion Helmet. The power stacking setup offers the best value for its price, but you could also use rare items. You will use a lot of unique items in this setup, but most of them are not important for the functionality. The power stacking setup grants you tons of spell damage and cast speed via power, brutal, and frenzy charges, while the endurance charges grant you survivability. The Ravenous Passion grants you rage after you spend a total of 200 mana, and shifts your rage bonuses to apply to spells instead. It is the core unique item for the spellcasting Berserk. With those boots, you will always get maximum benefits from your charges, even if you don't have them or convert them to other types. The only downside here is the lack of movement speed and maximum life. The Void Battery initially lowers your spell damage, but then increases it for every power charge you have. It also grants you plenty of cast speed and raises your maximum power charge limit by 1. The Malachai's Loop is a unique shield that grants you even more power charges and improves your spell damage based on them. You won't gain power charges, so you won't get shocked. Badge of the Brotherhood applies all your power charge limits to the frenzy charges as well. It also lowers the cooldown of your Frost Blink. You should anoint the infused Notable to get even more power charges. The Restless Ward grants you an enormous amount of life regeneration and improves your movement speed. You should get a corrupted version that improves the gem levels of your spell totem, which will also make it easier to get proper sockets, as tainted chromatics ignore attribute requirements. The Arn's Anguish grants you a lot of maximum life and fire resistance. It also raises your endurance charge limit by 1 and converts them into brutal charges. They grant you a chance to deal triple damage with hits, and you can generate them via Enduring Cry. Thanks to your boots, you will benefit from both charge types at once. The Militant Faith can grant you the Inner Conviction Keystone, which offers you more damage per power charge, but disables Frenzy Charges generation, which you bypass with your boots. The Circle of Anguish can greatly improve your damage with its Herald-related modifiers. It also comes with the random synthesized implicits. At a higher budget, you can use the Circle of Ambition, which offers 3 random Herald modifiers instead. On the Watcher's Eye jewel, there are only 2 aura modifiers applicable. For the Zealotry and Clarity auras, It can grant you tons of damage or help a bit with mana sustain. You could also include a low level Vitality or Precision aura to activate their respective modifiers. You will use only a few rare items. Defensively, try to cap your resistance and attribute requirement, improve your maximum life, and bolster the life regeneration. To improve your damage, you should seek cast speed and critical strike multiplier. The projectile speed can also be useful as it is often an overlooked modifier. On your rare gloves, focus on maximum life, lacking resistances and attributes, and add proper Eldritch implicits. You can also use the Essence of Insanity to make your Frost Blink of Wintry Blast even faster. Here you should look for maximum life and lacking attributes or resistances. To improve your damage, you should include the cast speed or critical strike modifiers. You can also opt for the mana regeneration rate or mana cost reduction. On your rare jewels, you should aim to get a bonus to maximum life and critical strike multiplier. You can also use it to cover lacking resistance or attributes. Getting the immunity to corrupted blood is also a good idea. Thanks to the totem-related notables, you will have a nearly permanent onslaught buff, which significantly improves your clear speed and damage. The second notable is less impactful, but the Ancestral Echo is preferred for the totem placement speed and extra cast speed. The Bottled Faith is a very powerful offensive flask that improves your critical strike chance and damage against enemies standing on the consecrated ground, which you will also create via summoning totems, so you don't need to worry about proper positioning while using this flask. On the other hand, the Taste of Hate offers you a great defensive bonus, as it improves your maximum cold resistance and shifts a portion of the physical damage to be taken as cold. It also slightly improves your damage. For your remaining magic flasks, we recommend using a life flask with bleeding removal, a jade flask with an extra evasion rating bonus, and a diamond flask with additional critical strike chance bonus. The Holy Flame Totem of Ire summons a totem that can fire only a single projectile, but at a very fast rate. It is based on physical damage, but you convert it fully into fire damage. The multiple totems support allows you to summon more totems, but lowers their individual damage. The awakened version of the fire penetration support grants you a chance to inflict fire exposure with each hit. The Zealotry greatly improves your spell damage and critical strike chance. You can also use a defensive aura instead, such as Purity of Elements or Grace. The Herald of Ash grants you extra fire damage and improves it further. Your totems won't trigger the additional effects. The Tempest Shield makes you immune to shock and increases your spell block chance. You can also use the Herald of Purity instead for more damage. The Clarity is a necessary aura. It grants you mana regeneration. You can keep it on a lower level to reduce the reservation cost. The Enlightened support lowers the reservation cost of linked auras. In some cases, the Clarity will reserve more than 25% of your maximum mana. Frostblink of Wintry Blast is a very useful transfigured movement spell. It has a short cast time but can be used without cooldown. Use those support gems to make it even faster. The Arcane Surge should be kept on a low level, so it triggers with every cast. The Enduring Cry is a war cry that grants you life regeneration and defensive buff for a short moment based on your endurance charges. With this setup, your war cry will be triggered automatically. The additional quality from the enhanced support makes it possible to have a permanent uptime on the damage reduction buff. The Steel Skin is a guard skill that forms a protective barrier that absorbs a portion of incoming damage and removes bleeding effects from you. The Stone Golem summons a helpful minion that grants you a decent amount of life regeneration. It will die very easily. Using it manually is not worth it. Thanks to this support, you will trigger the Steel Skin only when you actually need it. You can also use the automation instead if you prefer that style. The Assassin's Mark is a curse spell that greatly improves your damage and critical strike chance against a singular enemy. You will have to cast it manually. The Frostblink is an instant movement spell that teleports you in short range and leaves chilling ground in both locations. Using the transfigured version doesn't induct cooldown on this one. The Frost Shield creates a dome that improves your critical strike chance while you are inside of it. It also reduces incoming damage but consumes your energy shield to build up. Killing all bandits for 2 bonus skill points is the best option, but you could help IRE for an easier start and refund it once you collect better gear. For the major Pantheon power, the Brine King seems like the best choice. It grants you immunity to freeze and prevents getting stun locked. The minor god power is less important. We recommend the Soul of Ralakesh to help with bleeds, or Soul of Shikari to reduce incoming chaos damage. The leveling process is very easy. You can start using your Flame Totem right at the very beginning of the campaign at level 4. It doesn't need to be the transfigured version either. The regular one is good enough for the campaign, although the single target damage will be slightly lower. As a Marauder, you will run into mana problems very often, so consider using Mana Flask or Life Tap support. To make the leveling process smoother, you should make some adjustments to the passive tree. For more leveling tips, check out our written guide on the website. The final passive tree aims to pick up all the necessary keystones, maximum power charges, and improve your maximum life and damage. The Warcry notables significantly lower its cooldown and ensure brutal charge generation even without monsters nearby. You will also pick up a few block chance notables. With the Glancing Blows keystone, your block negates much less damage, but it is more reliable. If you are willing to sacrifice survivability, you can skip some block and life notables to get a large cluster duel setup. It is not recommended as the damage is very high even without it. You can also adjust this setup to any other spell totem you prefer. It is a very flexible template. If you want to see more unconventional build ideas, we encourage you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Have a good day and see you next time.